everyone, welcome to Pipes, Tobacco, and Whiskey. So today on International Pipe Smoking Day, we have a blend that we want to share with you that we just got maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And this is Samuel Gawith's Navy Flake. Now, the Gawith blends sometimes are pretty difficult to find, but at the time that we recorded this, there's quite a bit still available on smokingpipes.com, and this blend in particular is still available on smokingpipes.com. So if you're interested, you get on that website and order you some before it goes away.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a Virginia Latakia blend. It has Latakias and Virginias in it. The flavoring in it is a rum, which is traditional for a Navy Flake.
Yep.
And it's in flake. It comes in 50-gram tins. And you can get it several different places when it's available. But like I said, if you act quick, you might still be able to get some at Smoking Pipes. Strength on this one is medium. The flavoring is mild. The taste is medium. And so before we jump into this, I kind of want to talk a little bit about, and you can add what your thoughts are about what really defines as a Navy Flake.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of different flakes out there that have the word Navy in front of it. But really, after doing some reading on this, what I found out is that way back when, in the 1700s, a true Navy Flake would have been a tobacco, maybe a combination of tobaccos, that they would quickly strip off the rib, the main stem and the ribs off of the leaf. It was a really wet tobacco, and they would bundle it and twist it together. Okay, and then they would process it very similar to how you process Perique tobaccos. They would soak it in rum, and they would cram it in these charred oak barrels and let it age. And a lot of times that's the way they carried these tobaccos on the ships for their long voyages. And back then, tobaccos probably were not as refined and as flavorful as what we smoke today. They were probably pretty harsh, not very mellow. And this was a way for sailors to allow it to age and do some fermentation, but also to give it some flavors that they could tolerate on the smoking. So that's kind of what I understand as a Navy Flake to be. It could have, it always had Virginias in it. It could have Latakia in it, and it could have some Perique in it as well. Just different brands do it differently. They would twist these things up, and then on the voyage, they would just slice off what they wanted, and they would either shove it in their pipes, or sometimes they would even use it as a chew, a tobacco chew. So that's kind of how I understand Navy Flake, what a Navy blend is. So, with that being said,
the only thing I would like to add to it, because Navy Flake for me is very, I don't know how to put it aside from, you don't mess with the way it is. You have to have a rum topping, and that is a hill I will die on. It's got to me, if you're making a Navy Flake, you could be using the same components, the same way. You could put it in flake form and press it and call it a Navy Flake. But if it doesn't have a rum topping on it, it's not a Navy Flake, and I will call you out on it.
Well, and that's been the one common denominator through all the things that I've read.
Yes.
That makes Navy Flakes.
And the reason it is done like that is because the voyages would often go through very sub-zero temperatures. And it would dry out and freeze their tobacco. The only thing on the ship that wouldn't freeze
was the rum.
So the rum could rehydrate and reinvigorate that tobacco.
I see.
And thus it was a means of necessity, but also a flavor additive.
Yeah.
Because back in those days, rum was more than a liquor beverage that we enjoy it as a spirit nowadays. It was currency. It was also incredibly rooted in a sailor's life, in the way they were paid, lived, ate, smoked, everything. That's why I will die on that hill.
So rum back then was considered a life.
It was
part of their.
It was a part of their life. That's
why essence of life.
Yes, that's why sailors always tend to stuck as sailors, because the only way to get it was traded and controlled by the British Embassy and Navy, because the British Embassy were the only ones that made the rum. So the only way to get the rum was to be a sailor.
I see. Cool. Well, that's
or do business with sailors.
That's interesting information to know, because the source of the beginnings of that is important at how we judge it today, mm-hmm. because there's so many varieties out there mm-hmm. of what people call Navy Flakes. Mm-hmm. So interesting stuff.
That's why if it doesn't have a rum topping, I don't care what you say, and I don't care how good it is. It's not a Navy Flake.
All right. Well, this one definitely has a rum topping.
This one has a rum topping.
So let's kind of talk about the tin note a little bit. What do you think about the tin note on this one?
The thing that gets me on this tin note is you get that tangy Latakia. You get that vinegary smokiness from the Latakia coming through. And actually looking at the flake itself, I know that they don't use near as much Latakia as they do Virginias, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like they use a lot of Latakia in the blend.
Well,
I can smell it. I don't hate it. It's just, I wish I could get more of the Virginias. Now, and we'll get to that. Well, but when it comes to taste,
and it's possible that they're using a matured Virginia already.
Yes, and that's what I was going to get to when it came to the taste, because Gawith and Hogarth, and same with Samuel Gawith, they all do the same thing with their Virginias. They do a relatively good selective process when it comes to the Virginias. So,
well, on this tin note, I don't get a lot of Latakia on here. I get more Virginia smell.
Really?
Yeah, I get the grassiness, the tangy fruit. I also get, that you talk about that vinegary smell, kind of like a matured red Virginia smell in there. I get that a little bit as well.
Yep.
I get a little bit of the Latakia, but what kind of comes out in the tin note for me is the rum topping.
It's the rum topping.
Yeah, that rum topping is absolutely evident in here.
The only thing that I can, and that's the reason I can tell it's a rum topping, and the type of rum topping it is, and I'm almost willing to bet I know which rum they're using. It's not a spiced rum topping. It is one of the, because Samuel Gawith and Hogarth, they're based out of England still, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's where their manufacturers are.
So I'm willing to bet that they're using a traditional rum recipe as a rum topping. Those come through as more caramel, nutty,
like a Jamaican rum.
Yes, very nutty, very rich, dark flavors that you get, and it just complements those Virginias and that Latakia in this blend way better than if you were to just use like some coconut or spiced rum flavoring to add on top of it, because then you would get more pepperiness. You get more of that perique, which this one has a little.
Well, it's listed on Tobacco Review as not having perique. This is straight Virginias with a touch of Latakia.
Okay, then maybe there is a little bit of that spice coming through from the rum, but I mostly get more of that nuttiness, that dark fruit flavors and things like that, and I think that comes from the rum, not from the actual tobaccos.
I get that dark fruit in there as well, and also just a touch of citrus in there. Mm-hmm. But the Virginias do come through much more than the Latakias do.
Yeah.
But that rum topping is definitely
yes.
What's the standout?
Yeah, and it I think it complements the blend more than it does as a disservice to it, because sometimes we try alcohol top blends. Some of them like Nutty Irishman and other ones that use, whiskeys or bourbons as a topping on it tend to burn very hot. And this one burns a little hot, but...
Yeah, I've not had great experiences with alcohol toppings. Some of them, if they do it with a light touch, it adds more of that essence rather than just kind of heats up the tobacco and makes it difficult to smoke. This one doesn't feel that way so far. So let's jump into the tastes and see what we think.
So this one, when I get through to it, this is where, to me, those Virginias come through. I taste them in the flake. Now, when I smoke flakes, I don't break them apart. I do the fold and kind of ruffle the top, and I stuff it. And, I mean, I'm stuffing it in my pipe. It takes a few more lights because it's all compressed, so all that moisture's still there. But to me, the best way to enjoy that Navy flake is just to stuff it as its flake component into the pipe. Any flakes, really, but specifically Navy flakes for me. And that's just because I'm a traditionalist, so I don't want to mess with the way they did things. It just marries those flavors together very well. The light touch of the Latakia in there gives it the extra smokiness, that rich, deep flavors that come with the Latakia, and then the matured Virginias. I really don't know what Gawith and Hogarth and Samuel Gawith do with their Virginias, but every single one of their Virginias taste mature. They taste very aged, and you get those grassy notes. You get that rich flavor, and it's almost like a caramelization of the way they do those red Virginias or anything they do that's a Virginia based. So it's very tangy, very fruity, and then the rum just nice little deep dark fruit notes, nuttiness, boom, right there.
I've smoked this a couple of times in a couple of different ways. I've done the folding stuff.
Yep.
I've done the rubbing out and then packing it. And in this particular case, I did kind of a broken flake and stuffed it in there. And what I tend to find out with that particular pipe loading method is that the folding stuff tends to bring out the Virginias more and makes the Latakias a little more spicy.
Yes.
And so I don't like the Latakias to be spicy, so I prefer it to be rubbed out a little bit. I'm doing the broken flake, and it's about in between. And it's an interesting situation that is created, because you don't think that, well, it's the same tobacco. How would folding it versus rubbing it out make a big difference?
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah, it does. It allows more air to breathe through, and it allows those flakes to be individually lit. Whereas instead, when they're compressed together, they're all being lit across the same top. And, you know, in my opinion, from what I've noticed, Latakias burn slower than Virginias do. So when you've got the different layers and they're mashed together, burning across the top like that, they just... The flavors are in more unison, but then a lot of times those Latakias get overwhelmed by the sheer heat that's present from the Virginias, that it just ignites them as well. And thus, I think that's why where you're getting that pepperiness from that. I enjoy it because I also enjoy vapors.
Yeah.
I enjoy hot burning, a little more cadenced Virginia style tobaccos, and that's why but also I'm incredibly biased because I think Navy flakes need to be folded and stuffed. That's part of the thing we're going to notice with the whole conversation about this smoke is I'm kind of biased on how and what a Navy flake should be.
Well, going back to the taste, what I'm getting on this particular method, this broken flake method, is that I think the rum is coming through quite a bit.
Yes, it is.
It's not hot or rancid like some alcohol-based toppings can get.
Yep.
But it does come through. The Latakia it's so hidden in here that I think it only adds an element of mouthfeel more than flavor.
Yeah.
Kind of a creaminess a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Just a little bit of richness too.
Lots of Virginia taste, lots of grassiness, lots of dark fruits, a little bit of citrus, tanginess coming through. I get those medium spice hits. What I like about this one is the finish. The initial draw, and then the retrohale. But that feeling, that flavor, that kind of tingling that you get at the end of it after all of that is really interesting. It's interesting smoke. It's very pleasant. Personally, I think a little more Latakia because I'm an English person.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it with a little more Latakia. But as far as taste goes, it's top notch. Mm-hmm. It's really good. Yeah. All right. So, what do you think about the room note?
This is a good room note. You got your Latakia smell in the air, but it's not overpowering. I would say this is a very pleasant room note. I think people who are smokers and people who aren't smokers would still be able to tolerate the room note that's present in this. And I smoked it all, so it's all gone from me. I was sitting here trying to fiddle with it and get it. Oh, come on, just a little bit. No, it's all gone. It's been burnt. So I think that the room note is just a very pleasant smell. There's a nice aroma to it. There's that thick smoke coming from the Latakia. So there's that deep mouthfeel, creamy texture.
Yeah.
And you can see it present in the air, but it's mostly just that sheer red Virginia smell. And the rum comes through on this again too. It's a little bit in the air. Not as potent in the 10 note. Not as potent as it is in the taste, but in the air it is present. It does justice.
I agree with you. I think it's for a smoker, an experienced pipe smoker, this is going to be a pleasant room note. Mm-hmm. I think for people that are not used to that kind of tobacco is going to consider this maybe tolerable.
Yes, yes.
But I enjoy it quite a bit. What did you think about the moisture level on this one? See, it's wet for me. I'm even hearing some gurgling going on right now, and it's wet for me. But I think that's what Navy.
That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Is I'm biased on it because we tend to like our tobaccos a little bit more on the drier side.
Yeah.
Just because of general upkeep and temperature control when it comes to our smoke. I like my tobaccos to be a little bit more dry. The problem that it comes into me with the conflict is the morality of, well, if it's drier, you can't do the stuff and pack anymore. You can't do the fold and stuff in there anymore because then it breaks apart and it becomes a broken flake or a ribbon cut now all of a sudden.
Yeah, rubbed out.
Yeah, it's a rubbed out form because it's dry. So I think the moisture level is accurate to what I believe a Navy Flake should be. It comes the way it's intended. It's supposed to be a little moisture. It's a little bit more difficult of a smoke, but I'm promising you.
It's causing me to have to relight quite a bit more.
Yeah, me too.
I think for me, I don't think there's a wrong way to do this. I mean, basically, however you enjoy smoking your tobaccos is the way you should prepare it.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm going to need to set it out and let it dry a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to fiddle with that.
And that's the real thing. When it comes to this, like I said, guys, I'm very biased, and it's actually one of the subjects that's going to be on our Let's Ash It Out sessions is Flake versus Broken Flake, and kind of hash out the feelings and opinions on that kind of stuff. But I think the way it is and the way it comes is very purist in the way is that a Navy Flake is, and the way it's intended, and you're not gonna get it from a company like Samuel Gawith, based out of London. Not London, based out of UK, and that's gonna mess up a Navy Flake. That's where it was born, so they're not gonna mess it up.
Yeah.
And so I think it comes the way it is intended, the way it is smoked, and I respect it, and it is a very traditionalist view on it. but it's all how you want to smoke it.
Well, I can tell you that the flavor profile is different when you dry it out. And I think I like the flavor profile better when it's a little moist. It's just a little more of a challenge to keep it going.
Yeah, and that's all what it is like you said in the beginning, the people who started smoking, back in the days in the 1600s, 1700s, and how they started smoking, they probably didn't mind having a couple relights or doing things like that because that's just how the world was then.
Yeah.
They didn't have the type of Puritan ideas of all the tobaccos that we have nowadays. So you can't fiddle with it back then like it was. So I'm sure that if they could have chosen to have it a little drier, they would have.
Well, and on a ship surrounded by humidity.
Yeah, it's probably hard.
Yeah, it's probably pretty difficult to dry it out
Or if
anyway.
it gets frozen, or something like that.
What do you think about the nicotine on this
one? Just under medium. There's not a lot of hit to it, and because of its medium nicotine body, a little bit less than that, I would almost say mild. I think this would be an all-day smoke.
Yeah. I don't think I could do this all day.
I think I could if I smoked no more than 3 or 4 bowls a day. Yeah. Any more than that, I'm going to burn my tongue.
Well, this one, like I said, comes in 50-gram tins, and it's still available on smoking pipes. It averages out to be about $7.50 an ounce, but that's pretty typical because the tin on smoking pipes I think was like $13.20 or something like that, and that's about what you're going to pay for a 50-gram tin of tobacco anyway. But the trouble is trying to get it.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's the real trouble.
A couple of things that I've noticed about this is that it doesn't bite. There's really no harshness. It burns slowly, but it burns cool, clean, and smooth. It's got a consistent, mild sweetness to it all the way through the smoke. It does leave dampness in the bowl when you're done with it.
Yes, it does.
Lots of relights for me.
Yeah, me too.
The aftertaste lingers a little bit, and it's not a bad aftertaste. It kind of has a little bit of the Virginia and the rum aftertaste kind of lingers onto that. For me, it's not an all-day smoke. You could smoke it every day, but not all day every day.
That's maybe where I want to reiterate it. I could smoke it every day. I could have at least 1 or 2 bowls of this every day. I don't think I could have, as much as I smoke, I do not think I could have this every time I smoke.
Yeah, because it's a little heavy.
It is.
Yeah. I've tried it in several different types of bowls, and I prefer it in a wide-walled bowl that's not real deep. So like that bowl cap that you're fixing to get, probably would be a perfect
I think so.
pipe for this kind of thing. Just lots of wood, but not necessarily a big chamber. Smoking chamber.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Just a lot of wood, really tight smoke. I think the more compressed it is inside of the smoke, the more concentrated the flavors are, and the better it is.
Yeah,
it's just a thin bowl. It just gets too hot, and it burns too hot, and it's hard to manage at that point because too many elements come involved.
And you kind of hit upon this, but this is a sipper. I think the flavors are more pronounced when you take it slow and kind of let it burn slowly through there. It's difficult to maintain, but I think it's worth the challenge.
I think so too.
It's a pretty good smoke as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a big Virginia person. The rum topping on this one though is not offensive, and it kind of adds a little bit of different character than just a straight Virginia would typically have. And I've tried this at one of my pipe clubs that had about 3 or 4 years of age on it, and it's delicious.
This Navy Flake?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's really, really good when it's got that kind of age on it. So that this one will age pretty well. You got anything else that you want to add to this?
No. To me, it is a very pure Navy Flake, very traditional. I enjoy it on its merits and its flavors.
Cool. Yeah, I think I could smoke this, especially in the wintertime.
Yeah. Yeah, wintertime I think is perfect for this. Summertime, it almost might be a little too much.
It's almost like a vapor. It's almost like a Virginia Perique.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's right up there in my alley. What do you think you're going to give it?
I think I'm gonna stick with a 3.5 on this.
3.5?
Yeah.
I am going to. Oh man, this is that line that I have a hard time crossing when it comes to how many shots I want to give it, because I want to give it more than 4, but I know it's a pain in the butt to get. Yeah. I know it's difficult, so it's kind of my rule. I don't give it more than 4 if I can't always have it available. So I'm going to stick with the 4 shots on this one, just because it's a great flavor. It does what I think a traditional Navy Flake does, and I enjoy that flavor.
Yeah. Okay, well, how do you want to average that out? 3.75.
Yeah, we'll just
We've never done it. We've never done a 7.5, but 3.75.
Yeah.
So not quite up to the 4, but better than most.
I think so. Yeah, 3.75. I like that. Plus, we don't have the shot glasses.
Yeah, well,
we don't have a 7.5 shot glass.
In the smoking lounge, it's going to be a little different because we don't need to put the table out here and all of that. So, yeah, maybe we could just take swigs out of a bottle or something like that, to show how many shots.
My 0.75 swig.
Be a long date if we did that. All right, well, that's what we think about the Samuel Gawith Navy Flake. I bought several Samuel Gawith blends when it became available in middle of January at Smoking Pipes, and surprisingly enough, like I said,
they still have some
stuff available.
Yeah.
So if you get out there and get online here pretty soon, you may be able to find a couple of what you need.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that they're able to get some stuff available and things like that. Maybe it means that 2021 will be a brighter future, at least in the aspect of we'll all get a chance to enjoy some Samuel Gawith.
Hope so, because there's several. There's several of Samuel Gawith that I like and that I want to smoke more often.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for coming over on this cold day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of an oddity in Texas to have
snow.
And sub-freezing temperatures. I mean, it didn't get out of the 20s here yesterday. And
or Friday.
In a couple of days, we're supposed to be talking about negative wind chill factors. Yeah, you folks that are up in the north, I sympathize with you because we're not used to this, and you guys have to deal with that all the time. So,
yeah.
So that's
we're gonna have to learn how to be prepared.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to have. People here cannot drive on this kind of stuff.
Nope.
It
basically shut down.
Yeah, they're kind of crazy. So. Anyway, all right, well, that's all we've got for you. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing all your ideas. Remember, the one that I posted last week, I'm interested in hearing of what your crossover blends are to go into Englishes, so post those as well.
Absolutely.
And we still would love some ideas about our Let's Ash It Out series that we're going to do. And we went to the North Texas Pipe Club gathering that they had in Cedar Hill a couple of weeks ago. And the guys there from the North Texas Pipe Club gave us a lot of great ideas to get started with. But we still like to hear from you guys and kind of do some things that you're interested in as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. You got something else?
No, that was it.
All right, guys. Well, we thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful week. Don't forget,
make all your piping moments count.
Take care of yourselves and stay warm.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.